pretty nice girl, but she doesn't have a lot to say. Her Majesty's a pretty nice girl, but she changes from day to day. I wanna tell her that I love her a lot, but I gotta get a belly full of wine. Her Majesty's a pretty nice girl, someday I'm gonna make her mine, oh yeah, someday I'm gonna make her mine.
Welcome back to the Queen's Corner,
where today we'll be learning all about Queen Elizabeth I.
First up is a little about her life. Queen Elizabeth was born on September 7th, 1533, to her parents, King Henry VIII of England and Anne Boleyn. At age 3, Henry had her mom executed, leaving Elizabeth motherless for most of her life. Because the Pope refused to annul Henry's first marriage, he had converted from Roman Catholicism to the Church of England, so Elizabeth grew up as a Protestant. Henry was a very busy man, and didn't have much time for Elizabeth as she grew up. He placed her in a nice house in the countryside of England with the best tutors. From a young age, she had a love of learning and picked up material quickly. After her father, half-brother, and half-sister died, Elizabeth became queen at age 25. From November 17, 1558, to March 24, 1603, Elizabeth reigned as Queen of England and is considered to be one of England's most beloved historical queens. She died at age 69 on March 24, 1603, and was buried at Westminster Abbey in England.
Up next, what dominoes fell leading to Elizabeth's ascension to the throne?
After Henry VIII died in 1547, the throne was passed down to Elizabeth's half-brother, Edward. When Edward died in 1553, after his 6-year reign, the throne was given to Jane Grey, who is a descendant of Mary, Elizabeth's half-sister. Many people supported the more rightful heir, Mary, and after 9 days of Jane being queen, Elizabeth and Mary rode into town, took back the throne, and imprisoned Jane and her husband in the Tower of London. Shortly after she ascended to the throne, Mary married Catholic Prince Philip of Spain, which many citizens did not like. Many people saw Elizabeth as their Protestant savior and began uprisings, so Mary had Elizabeth imprisoned in the Tower of London for around 3 months during her reign. After Mary died in 1558, Elizabeth ascended to the throne of England.
Did you know that Queen Elizabeth was fluent in many languages? And now we go outside to Drew with the weather.
I'm no weatherman, but I can tell you all about Queen Elizabeth's reign. Queen Elizabeth took the throne in 1558 after her sister died. She picked up many problems that her sister started, like being at war with France. But she avoided war with Spain and France for approximately 30 years after she took the throne. She supported the Protestant rebellion against Spain, so they went to war with Spain. But the English Navy defeated the infamous Spanish Armada in 1588. There were several assassination attempts on Queen Elizabeth, from jealous people looking to take over the throne. She at once jailed the assassins.
Fun fact, Queen Elizabeth was known for her overuse of profanity and swear words.
Queen Elizabeth loved the theater and enjoyed Shakespeare thoroughly. Her and her court would go to private performances put on by some of the best actors of the time. It is said Elizabeth influenced the world of drama greatly, and she even inspired roles in Shakespeare's work. According to Wisconsin State University, A Midsummer Night's Dream is Shakespeare's most direct tribute to the Queen, from the excerpt in Act 2. That very time I saw, but thou couldst not, fly between the cold moon and the earth, Cupid all armed, a certain aim he took, at a fair vestal throned by the west, and loosed his love shaft smartly from his bow, as it should pierce 100,000 hearts. But I might see young Cupid's fiery shaft, quenched in the chaste beams of the watery moon, and the imperial votaress passed on, in a maiden's meditation fancy-free.
Fun fact, Queen Elizabeth herself composed many prayers.
When she became queen, Elizabeth's main goal was to restore Protestantism in England after Mary's persecution of them. Because of that, the number of Protestants was slowly increasing. Although Protestant, Lizzie had great religious tolerance for both Catholics and Protestants. She tried to keep peace and stability throughout her rule, and persecuted only when peace was threatened. In 1559, she established a church that embraced Protestant aspects as well as Catholic, hoping to appease both parties. She hoped that by doing this, Catholicism will die out naturally. By 1603, most of England's citizens were Protestant, with only a small minority of Catholics, accomplishing Elizabeth's main goal. Fun fact, Elizabeth was known as the Virgin Queen because she was never married.
When Elizabeth came to power, the main question everyone was asking was, who will she marry and how soon? Elizabeth was the last of her Tudor dynasty, and it was expected for her to carry it on by having a child. However, Elizabeth had no interest in marriage. Elizabeth was courted by many potential suitors, but after careful consideration, none seemed fit for the queen. Many accounts say Elizabeth had fallen madly in love with her childhood best friend, Lord Robert Dudley. However, Dudley was deemed unsuitable for the queen. Elizabeth did not want to risk her support and popularity from her people over conflicts such as religion and politics once she married, which is why popular suitor Francis, Duke of Alencon, was ruled out. Elizabeth proved to be ahead of the times by staying unwed while she ruled her country, choosing to focus on her duties and her people, leading England into what was known as their golden age. Fun fact, when Elizabeth died, she had over 3,000 gowns.
Queen Elizabeth was a queen of her people, and that was how she based her political actions. Many suitors tried to marry her, so they could be brought into a royal status, kind of like Prince Hans from the Disney animation Frozen. Since she never married, she was thought to have used her availability more for politics and romance. Queen Elizabeth wasn't focused on greed, wasting anything, or worldly goods, like selfish rulers. Her reign was focused on the good of her subjects.
Fun fact, in 1562, Queen Elizabeth contracted smallpox, which left scars on her face. She often covered these with lead-based face paint, which is why all of her portraits portray a pale complexion. Speaking of painting,
Elizabeth loved to take time and indulge in the arts whenever she could. Music was one of her favorite pastimes, and she could play many instruments. Her favorite was the lute, which is a stringed instrument similar to a modern-day guitar. Elizabeth also loved to watch plays, and William Shakespeare was one of her favorite playwrights. She saw many of his shows. The Queen also loved poetry and wrote some of her own. An excerpt from one of her more well-known pieces, On a Monsieur's Department, which is assumed to be written about one of her many suitors. I grieve and dare not show my discontent. I love and yet am forced to seem to hate. I do, yet dare not say I ever meant. I seem stark mute, but inwardly to prate. I am and not. I freeze and yet am burned, since for myself another self I turned. Did you know there was a cult surrounding Queen Elizabeth?
Queen Elizabeth's death in 1603 ended the House of Tudor, a line that ruled England since the late 1400s. Queen Elizabeth will be remembered as a queen that supported her people. Her sharp wits and cleverness helped England through many religious and political challenges. Though the end of her reign was marked by troubled times in England, she stayed devoted to her subjects.
Her Majesty was a pretty nice girl. Thanks for watching!
fun fact, Queen Elizabeth was known as the Virgin Queen because she was never married.
Really nice girl.
Elizabeth was a queen of her people, and that was how she based her political
He's
action.
so bad.